This is Tarot by the Tree. It's a set of 10 lessons that teach the tarot cards through the revelation of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life and the hidden practical wisdom of the Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. Hello, this is Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. We're going to start today with what the tarot cards are. The tarot cards are very much like our modern set of playing cards, and we have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we have the royal cards. They go from Jack up to King. We know this deck and we've become very familiar with it. The tarot deck is really just like that. They start at ace, they go up through 10, there are 4 suits, and then there's the royal family. Some of the earlier tarot suits might have looked a little bit different. The pictures were related, but different artists over the ages have worked on them. But even these older ones still cling to the same pattern of 4 suits, 10 cards in each suit, plus the royal family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The older tarot decks did not have the illustrations on the numbered suited cards. They just had the numbers. It was later on with Rider-Waite and others that we got a picture on every one of the cards. And of course that makes it easier to remember what the meanings of the cards were. Tarot cards today come in all kinds, and we're going to be looking and talking about some of the various kinds. What we're using here is the Rider-Waite deck. And again, the same rule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We then have the royal family, and they go through to the king. The 4 suits of the tarot cards are as follows. We have cups, and maybe they refer to the hearts on the modern deck. We have swords, and today we would call them spades. We have coins, and today we refer to them as diamonds. And finally staves, and they are called clubs in the modern deck. 4 suits in both. Here's the main difference to the numbered suited cards of the tarot deck. Today we have jacks. We didn't always have jacks. Back in the days of the tarot cards, jacks were actually separated into 2 figures, pages and knights. Pages were the feminine nature, knights were the masculine nature. Through time, those 2 figures have been pushed into one. The history of the tarot deck, the tarot cards, are shrouded in mystery, and there are many cases to be made for originating in ancient Egypt, or perhaps more recently in the 12th century. We don't really know. They have moved through different areas, and they became standardized perhaps around the year 1400. The big difference between tarot cards and our modern set of playing cards is that tarot cards have on top of the number suited deck 22 other cards. Those 22 other cards don't have suits. They're called the major arcana. They're numbered 0 to 21. And we don't really know how they came to be. There were old games like karaoke and other games, trumps, triumphs, that they may have played with them. We can't know for sure. Those type of things didn't really last through time. But we do know that they were put on top of a normal deck of playing cards somewhere in the hundreds of years ago, and they have disappeared since then. What those 22 cards were used for, we're not sure. One theory is that in those 22 cards was hidden a key to a religion or a belief system or a new kind of a science of belief, and those 22 cards were carefully constructed to reflect those ideas. 78 cards is one deck. So you have 78 small paintings. On top of that, these paintings were constantly subjected to rubbing. So they would, it's not like hanging on the wall. They would need to be fixed up, touched up, or redone every few years. If a group of people were worried about losing some of their practical wisdom, hidden knowledge, they might have chosen to embark on a bit of a plan to preserve their knowledge in a way that wouldn't make it evident to other people. This whole concept may have been coming out of the Dark Ages, after the fall of Rome, when there were a lot of religions, a lot of variations of Christianity coming about, and there may have been some persecution of people who had beliefs that were not readily recognizable or part of that locale, and there may have been some fear of paganism or even Satanism. So the idea of hiding your religion or your belief system in a way that wouldn't be obviously noticeable to authorities might have been very attractive. If a group of people decided they wanted to preserve their knowledge, their traditions, their religion, their beliefs, they might have gone on a blitz. Imagine a group of people who were being spread out. They were being forced to wander different parts. It could be plague, it could be a form of climate change, it could be persecution. If you got together 100 people of your belief system and selected people who could draw, had an overseer, you could produce in a month or so perhaps 100 or 200 decks. Things that maybe at one time were very precious. You had one, and over the years people would touch it up and they'd be quite worn. If you had 200 of these, you'd have something that could create a myth or a new well of wisdom, and from each deck would come new decks. This would become the new standard. Before that, decks were only made one at a time. Imagine if a group of people made 100 or 200 and then sent everybody on their way. Those lovely decks would be used and introduced to many people, and this would become the standard in a short time. It's not like they were having competition from other countries that were bringing in boatloads of cards. It didn't work that way back then. So anybody that went on this short-term mass production idea might corner the market for the standardization of a card system, and perhaps that's what happened. When we talk about decks today, it's not as standardized, and I hope that the hidden symbolisms are still retained. But to give you an idea, I understand how confusing it might be for somebody deciding which deck to buy, and I'll just go through a list of some of the decks of tarot that are on the market today, and at this moment there are many more kinds being developed. This is what you could go out today and buy as a set of tarot cards. Bee Bite Tarot, Angel Tarot, Aquarian Tarot, Art Nouveau Tarot, Cat People Tarot, Chinese Tarot, Deviant Moon Tarot, Cosmic Tarot, Dragon Tarot, Dreaming Way Tarot, Fairy Tale Tarot, Fantastical Creatures Tarot, Goddess Tarot, Gummy Bear Tarot, Halloween Tarot, Herbal Tarot, Phantasmagoric Tarot, Santa Fe Tarot, Sexual Tarot, Swiss Tarot, Tarot of Witches and Vampire Tarot. I imagine that somewhere somebody is right now making zombie tarot, but if nobody is doing that, I would like to take a moment to just claim that as an informal copyright, and I will be doing something with zombie tarot in the near future. A few notes on the style of this manual that I'll be going through. The word coins is what I use here instead of pentacles, because pentacles have become over time associated with magic, and that's not at all what that suit is about. I also use the word staff instead of wands for a similar reason. Wands have come to represent magic, and that's not what this suit is about. A final note about spirituality: it's not a term that will be used anywhere in this manual. It used to mean involved in a religious study of God, but that is too simplistic a definition for today, where many people consider themselves spiritual but not religious. The problem with the word spiritual is its malleability and its automatic association with feeling good and seeking heightened awareness. In reality, some people have tried to come up with a modern definition of spirituality and they've failed. They've come up with over 20 meanings, many of them mutually incompatible. They disagreed with each other. In fact, today, spirituality can refer to being actively engaged in anything from meditation and Christianity to crystal therapy and voodoo. I will therefore avoid this loaded and ultimately empty word. I also won't refer to any texts outside the Tree of Life and, of course, the tarot cards itself. This knowledge does not rest outside of what you will see and what you will preserve, and it makes sense. As far as proving that this is the original system or that this is the secret revealed, the analogy is like you've messed around for years and years with a set of puzzle pieces that do fit together in many ways, but the edges always seem ragged or the picture seems unclear. Finally, one day, somebody playing with these pieces assembles it in a way that the edges are precise and the picture is immediately clear. He says he solved the puzzle. We don't know for sure that the puzzle couldn't have been reassembled into another way, but it is so highly unlikely as to not be worthy of a lot of consideration. That's it for now, and we'll end the first lesson here. The next segment will concentrate on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life.